Around approximately 8:32 in the morning on September 15th, 1944, Americans in the 1st, 5th, and 7th Marine Divisions landed on the small island of Peleliu in the Palau Island chain in the Pacific. This was the start of Operation Stalemate 2, a branch off the larger Operation Forger, which involved the taking and holding of multiple islands in the Mariana and Palau island chains from the Japanese in the Pacific. This operation had the intent of clearing Japanese resistance in the islands and utilizing the islands' airfields as strategic points to launch further offensives in the Pacific. As the leader of the 1st Marine Division, Major General William Rupertus claimed the island would be taken completely in 3 to 4 days, making it essentially an easy operation for the Marines, who did not know that they were about to walk into some of the fiercest fighting of the entire war.
Hey y'all, Cameron here. I just wanted to hop in real quick, say thank you for clicking on the video today. As you probably know, we're talking about one of the most brutal battles of the Second World War, and I really hope you learned something. On a side note, if you haven't subscribed, you can click the little subscribe button, and that would really help me out, or even share the video with a friend, and that would be absolutely sick. Alright, back to the video.
The year was 1944, and the war in the Pacific had been raging for around 3 years. After early successes in the beginning, the Japanese Imperial Army was now on the back foot after repeated losses at places such as the Solomon and the Marshall Islands. On the American march towards the Japanese mainland and their island-hopping campaign, the island of Peleliu in the Palau island chain was one of the islands chosen to be captured, and where a new airfield would be installed to help support the push to Japan. This island was mountainous and rocky, making it an ideal place for the Japanese to utilize all of their defensive tactics that they had learned up to that point. And with 5 square miles of island defended by 11,000 soldiers of the Japanese 14th Infantry Division, it would not be an easy fight for the oncoming Americans. The Americans came to the island with the same tactics they had been using thus far in the war. Landing bombardment by naval and air forces, followed by an amphibious landing of Marines on the beaches. In this case, it would be the 1st, 5th, and 7th Marine Divisions jumping into the fight. By the 4th of September, the Marines had shipped off from Pavuvu and began their journey in a naval armada to the island to begin the fight. Once reaching the island, it was bombarded for 3 days before the attack would commence, with it being believed that the bombardment was a success and that the fighting would last only around 3 to 4 days before the island would be taken. They were wrong. At 8:32 in the morning, the Marines landed on Peleliu, with the 1st Marines to the north on White Beach 1 and 2, and the 5th and 7th Marines to the center and south on Orange Beach 1, 2, and 3. The Japanese were ready, and as the landing craft approached the beaches, they began opening fire from their concealed positions. They caught the Marines in a deadly crossfire as they tried to get to the beaches and out of their LVTs and other landing craft to assault the enemy positions. Approximately 60 American landing craft had been destroyed by 9:30. Needless to say, the first day of the battle did not go to plan. By the end of the day, the American forces held really only their 2-mile-long beachhead, having pushed to the edge of the airfield, which was their objective for the day, but being repelled by a Japanese counterattack. The Marine attackers suffered 200 dead and 900 wounded on this first day alone. The second day would fare little better. The 5th Marines would make an assault to take the airfield, but suffered heavy casualties from Japanese artillery. They persevered, however, and the airfield was taken. After this capture of the airfield, they would continue on to capture the eastern tail of the island, leaving just the southern part to be taken. The southern portion of the island was heavily defended, and to add to the difficulties of assaulting the prepared Japanese positions, the heat during the battle was also intense, and many Marines were casualties due to heat exhaustion. By the 3rd day, the airfield was in use by the Americans, primarily providing close air support for the Marines still fighting to take the Japanese positions. Napalm was a key weapon used, as it effectively burned the Japanese out of their concealed positions. One of the key Japanese strongpoints since the beginning of the battle was a spot at the southern end of the landing beaches known as the Point. Locations like these, with long fields of fire on American positions from heavily fortified and defensive positions, were key to the Japanese strategy in the Pacific. The point on its own would last days before it was taken. K Company 3rd Battalion of the 1st Marines would be the ones to do it, after days of fierce fighting. Even then, they were cut off on the point for around 30 hours after taking it, defending against vicious Japanese counterattacks before finally receiving reinforcements. Another key part of the battle was the taking of Nagispis Island by the 5th Marines after their airfield victory. This island was just to the north of the island of Peleliu and housed artillery positions and an airfield under construction. These could have proven to hinder the American advance if they were left alone, so the 5th Marine Division made another amphibious assault, taking the island with light casualties. However, the worst was still yet to come. After the capture of the point, the 1st Marines once again moved into action, this time against the main bastion of Japanese defense in the Amur-Brugel Pocket, otherwise known as Bloody Nose Ridge. The Marines mounted several assaults, each one being beaten back after suffering heavy casualties. The narrow paths within the numerous rocky ridges meant the Japanese had many sites to rain crossfire and hail down upon the trapped Marines. The Japanese were unusually hesitant in their attacking fire, seemingly only attacking when the maximum damage could be done. Stretcher bearers and medics were targeted by the Japanese snipers hidden in the rocks, as they knew taking out one of them would mean that many more men would be left unattended. During the nights, the Japanese would sneak into American lines to attack, and there became a rule among the Marines of having at least 2 men in a foxhole, one sleeping and one standing guard. The Japanese in these hills held out until the end of November, a shocking amount of time for an operation that began in mid-September and was planned to last only a few days. The 1st Marines would suffer around 70% casualties trying to take these hills, and relieving divisions of the Army and Marines would face similar grim numbers. On November 24th, the leading Japanese officer committed ritual suicide, stating, "Our sword is broken and we have run out of spears." On the 27th of November, the island was officially declared secure after 73 days of fighting. Needless to say, the battle for Peleliu was brutal. The fighting for the so-called Bloody Nose Ridge has been argued to have been the heaviest and most intense fighting the US military saw during the entire war. Over 10,000 of the 11,000 Japanese defenders would die on the island, and the American forces suffered over 10,000 casualties in total. The 1st Marine Division had around a third of its entire number become casualties, putting them out of action in the war until the Battle of Okinawa. But it was worth it, right? Well, that's one of the sad things about this battle. It has suffered a lot of controversy due to its lack of real strategic value and its large casualty rate. In the end, it was never really used as a significant staging area for future operations, and many of the planned island assaults around it were canned due to the expectation of them not being necessary. Now, while it may not have played a pivotal role in the fight in the Pacific, the battle stands as one of the most brutal of the war, and the losses from both sides cannot be understated or forgotten.
Alright, so that's it for me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I tried to put a lot more effort into this one, and I really hope that showed. If you think so, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that cool stuff, or leave a comment on some other topic you might like me to cover in the future. I already have the next video planned. Kind of looking forward to that one. Should be pretty cool. And yeah, that's all from me. I hope you have a great day. And as always, I'm Cameron, and I'll see you on the flip side.